world moves fast. Your workday, even faster. Pitching products, drafting reports, analyzing data. Microsoft 365 Copilot is your AI assistant for work. Built into Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and other Microsoft 365 apps you use. Helping you quickly write, analyze, create, and summarize. So you can cut through clutter and clear a path to your best work. Learn more at Microsoft.com/M365 Copilot.
New Year, same extra value meals at McDonald's. So now get 2 snack wraps, plus fries and a medium soft drink for just $8.
For limited time only. Prices and participation may vary. Prices may be higher in Hawaii, Alaska, and California, and for delivery.
We interrupt this program to bring you an important Wayfair message. Wayfair's got style tips for every home. This is Styles McKenzie helping you make those rooms sing. Today's style tip. When it comes to making a statement, treat bold patterns like neutrals. Go wild, like an untamed animal print area rug under a rustic farmhouse table from Wayfair.com. Arr, fierce. This has been your Wayfair style tip to keep those interiors superior.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome to No Question About That. This is the Tactics Show. We're doing a season preview with Daniel and Danish today. How's it going, chaps?
All right. Good.
Very good.
Good. Well, just digesting Daniel's horrendous ringtone there.
Yeah, oh, God. Just before we came on air. Yeah. Awful.
It's trying to make the answer it.
Yeah.
Just got to shut it up if it makes that kind of route.
That's right. It's kind of ringtone that will make you pick the phone up and throw it out the window. All right. That's a great one for listeners there. They'll have absolutely no idea what we're talking about.
It's sort of goes like that.
Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football basically sounds the same. Yeah.
Been shaped by a running chain.
It's funny. Before we started this, we were like, we're going to do way more detail on the Tactics Show. It's going to be very tactical, different. We're not going to talk about the size of our dicks or Jamie Carragher getting shagged by an orangutan or anything like that. Yeah, it's going to be all right. Very good. Good start to the season, lads. All right, well, we're going to go through some of the pre-season and what we've seen, what's changed. Obviously, 3 new signings or 4 with Diego Leon, if he stays, assuming he will, and doesn't go out on loan, and look forward to what might be to come. There's a bit of an optimism at the first part of the pre-season, and then draws against Everton and Fiorentina has tempered that a little bit, which is good. I suspect there's going to be some difficult times ahead. Unless we sign Carlos Baleba in the next week or so, and then, of course, we're going to win the league. It'll be 21 is coming. No problem. Very good. Easy. Lads. All right. Where should we start? Danish. What's changed over the summer, if anything?
Nothing. The tactics haven't changed. I think it's really important to go through what we saw in the summer. Now, I've seen every preseason game. I saw the first 3 and I was like, woo, brilliant. And then I saw the first 3 again, and then I saw the last 2 and I thought, this is not, I get why people get so excited about the transfer juice that we have, because we signed Wolves' best player, we signed Brentford's best player, we've signed Benjamin Šeško. All 3 of those players other teams were in for, and they elected to come to Manchester United, but this team is going to need work, it's going to take time. The 2 main points that I want to highlight in the summer, in pre-season, the tactics are exactly the same. They're exactly the same. We're not going to change a thing. The players that are in the team now, they might help to make the tactics that Amorim wants to play more effective. So the reason the first 3 games were so good is because Mateus Cunha is really, really good in the left-hand row, like really good. So what we saw last season was the back 3 have the ball. They are pressed by the opposition. They funnel it to the left 10 or the right 10. That means the defender is dragged out. What that can mean is you're sucking players into their own half and then you switch the ball. That happens so many times in preseason. It's happened too many times in preseason for me to not be impressed by it. They suck a bunch of players into one side and then they switch the ball. That can either be as well Kobbie Mainoo or Ugarte moving to one side, sucking them in and then switching the ball. We didn't see that last season. Minu and Abate or Minu and Fernandes or Casemiro and Fernandes stayed exactly where they were. There was no movement. There's a lot more movement now. It's a lot better. So that was good. It helps as well that there's more movement, there's more rotations, the left 10 and the right 10. They kind of go wherever they want, and there's always a central midfielder moving. So basically, they're sucking players into their own half, switching the ball and then getting into the opposition half. I like that a lot. Trust me. What I don't like is the without the ball stuff. Is the press better? Yes, it is. Yeah. What he's doing is quite risky. He's pushing the fullback all the way up in preseason. So there was a lot of clips that I saw of Diego Leon pushing up or Luke Shaw pushing up. What happens then, though, is when they push the left back all the way up to the other opposition left back, leaves a gap in behind. So they play, I think it was like Leeds. I saw the first move within 5 minutes. Their left back played a pass inside to the forward, and then somebody else just darted into the space in behind. It gets worse when the centre back, now this was happening a lot, correct me if I'm wrong, this was happening a lot last season. Say Danny Welbeck has the ball on the halfway line. De Ligt or Maguire was pushing right up next to him, like really up, really aggressive. All that happened was Welbeck would touch it around the corner or touch it back, and then someone would play it in behind. So the in-possession stuff is improving.
Yeah.
Also improved because Højlund looks fitter. He's more physical. All of a sudden, the ball was sticking whenever they punted it up to him. So a lot of the times last season, they would go direct over the top to Højlund. He would not make it stick, and then it would result in it. That was different this in pre-season because they were doing it to Mbeumo as well, and Højlund was just making this ball stick better. The out-of-possession stuff, it's risky, it's aggressive, it might work sometimes, it might work against a crapper opposition, but I feel like there's going to be problems.
Well, let's dig into that a little bit. There was some interesting data that shows United have, so if you take low block, mid block, high block, United have quite high possession, high percentage of phases in a mid block, and not particularly high in a high block, and reasonable amount of time in a low block, right? And so that would tell you that they look a bit like a Bundesliga team in terms of their out of possession press. Is that going to change? Have we seen anything change in pre-season? Are they going to press higher and more coordinated? Are they going to pull off that high press? Because then you win the ball, and that problem that you're talking about, where the central centre back comes into midfield, becomes less of a problem.
It's aggressive and it's risky, but I feel as though against crapper teams it might work. I also feel as though I'm loving the movement in possession, but everybody bangs on about on social media that central centre back and what is he doing. In pre-season, I even saw that work because that him being there meant the player always had to stick to him. And sometimes they were moving this way, they're moving left and moving right. They were basically moving players around more and using it more as an advantage. It's just, will they get found out more out of possession? I feel like they might. But I also feel as though last season, the Premier League resembled a league where the top teams were all in transition. A lot of the big teams were bad, and a lot of the teams that were sort of in the bottom half of the table, or even normally find at the bottom half of the table, were quite good. I feel like the top teams have gone and strengthened this summer, and the bottom half teams, I look at Bournemouth, for instance, and 4 of their best players have been taken away. Brighton, best player, and
Brentford as well. I think that's right. That the standard last season, sort of from below the Champions League teams to the bottom, sort of fifth bottom, was probably higher than it's ever been, even though the standard above them wasn't that high. But we're seeing the top teams spend shitloads of money.
Basically,
and whilst it would make sense if United tried to sign Carlos Baleba and whoever Brighton signings as replacements, you for Brighton to keep replenishing stocks with players of the same quality feels difficult. But just to go back to United, in terms of the out-possession stuff, I think the pressing will definitely improve with Sesko and then whoever's behind him. Let's assume it's going to be Mbeumo and Cunha. They're going to press more athletically and more aggressively than the players that United had in that position last season. But also, do you think we might see a change in shape as well, that it might be a 4-4-2 press? I feel like we saw that maybe in at least one of the games I've seen. Felt like they were pressing in a 4-4-2, which looks like it's easier to pull off. And the thing that I sometimes wonder about, even if we sign Baleba, and I think we're going to, even if we sign him, is are we able to build the play through the middle of the pitch? Because ultimately, that's all the way the best teams do it. And what it feels like we're doing is amassing a squad of a team even full of ball carriers. I'm not sure how good the passing out of deep will be, but if you look at who United are going to have now, Mbumo, Cunha, let's assume for a second we get Baleba, Mainu, Dorgu. Those are all lads that can put their head down with the ball and move it forward. But I wonder about, because we sometimes slip to 5 at the back, when we're trying to defend, we're more of a 5 at the back. Are we going to be able to work out the numbers to get out of the 5 out the back to move it through midfield? And at the moment, we've been asking a lot of the wide centre backs, particularly of Yoro, who's the best of them. But there's something that Harry Maguire with his back, with his facing the play, playing on the half turn. There's something about that doesn't spell winning football to me.
Let's talk about midfield a little bit, because I think that's the area of greatest weakness or greatest risk because of the profiles of the players. And there's 2 things going on there. Bruno Fernandes is going to play most of the season deep. He played the second half of the season fairly deep, or about a third of the games if you look at the numbers, in a central midfield role, in an Amorim double pivot. And who's he going to play alongside, right? The best other player is Kobbie Mainoo. Is that the right balance of players to play in a double pivot, in an Amorim double pivot? Not sure. Should be great in possession with Bruno playing the switches and Mainoo extremely press resistant, but is that very good out of possession? Are they going to be disciplined enough? Are they going to hold their shape? Is Bruno going to keep chasing the ball as he loves to do? Daniel?
I don't think that's going to happen.
Okay.
We're going to sign a midfield player.
Yeah.
And I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing the Ineos. These are not patient guys, number one. Number 2, if the manager says, I fucking need this, and I fucking need this, and I fucking need this, and you're not the Glazers who ultimately aren't that bothered, you know that you don't want to sack him in the November international window. And you also know that if he says, I need goals, give him the goals, I need a midfield player, and I need a goalkeeper, and you do not deliver them, and then teams are marching through United and marching through the midfield, or United are making a fist of sticking in games, and then another dog biting there, toss one in. You can't sack that guy. Or you have to spend yet more money sacking that guy, trying to find
new set players.
And then who are you getting in next? And actually, it's not so much about the players, because the players that we've signed with this window, we've fit very nicely into a 4-3-3. I'm not worried about. I think we've bought good players who will fit into different formations. It's not like, oh no, what do we do? Dorgu can play left back.
Yeah.
If you have a midfield 3 of Mainu, whoever we sign, Bruno, that would be pleasant. And then a front 3 of you've got either Ahmad or Mbumo, and you've got centre forward Šeško, and then you've got Cunha. It's not that.
Yeah.
It's that you've got this manager, the board I think they believe in him as a bloke. I think they like him. They don't want him to leave. They also know that United, ultimately, the PSR problem is more a problem, as far as I understand it, but they don't want to bust all the next year's money too. United got money for whatever they want to do this summer, because the banks are going to keep lending United money.
Yeah.
The problem they have is that, well, if they do it this summer, then they can't spend next summer. But what they'll be saying is, well, hang on a sec. If we don't sign Baleba now, the price isn't going down, and there's also going to be competition. So you've got this guy, and you think he's fucking brilliant. You think he might be the best midfield player in the world in a couple of years, and you've got a chance to sign him. People like Ineos are not going to refuse that deal because it's 112 million euros. Yeah, it could be 140 million euros next summer because they need a player for this position. Yeah. So I don't think that we're going to be talking about, is it Ugarte and Bruno, or is it Mayu? I don't think that's going to happen. Even if it isn't Baleba, I think it will be. I think they know what the price roughly will be. They would not have started this whole process if they didn't think they were going to be able to bring this deal to a conclusion. And he's one I think they're going to end up paying whatever the price is for. And the midfield will be a midfield.
let's talk about that then. You successfully diverted the conversation away from my, is midfield going to work for United this season? And then talk about what it looks like if Baleba is in there. World-class ball carrier already. Pretty good passer, progression, not brilliant in terms of his progression numbers, but that's partly to do with his role in the Brighton side. Very, very physical, gets around the pitch very, very well, and does the defensive side excellently. You know, I agree with Daniel's assessment that he's going to become a world-class midfielder. That's why he's 110, 20, whatever, pick a number, million, and Brighton are going to get a massive profit after 60 games of this player or whatever. So does that change? If it's him and Bruno, does that feel like a better balanced midfield? Danish, I mean, is it going to solve some build-up problems that we had last season, which were just horrendous from the start of the season under Ten Hag to the end of the season under Ruben Amorim?
In terms of build-up issues and progression, Minu solves that anyway. But what Baleba gives you is there's a lot more options in there, because I don't particularly want to go into the season with Ugarte, Minu, Fernandes, and Casemiro. It also gives you a lot more duels. He'll win a lot more duels in there.
Yeah.
There's multiple times that I saw in pre-season when out of possession, the other team would just run through Man United because Fernandes didn't know when to press, he didn't know when to drop, and he's not the most, like, physically he's quite aggressive, but he's not the most built guy, is he?
The muscles from Brussels over here.
Check him out. We haven't swaying.
The muscles from on top.
Baleba will win more duels than Fernandes. Baleba will probably win more duels than Minu. Baleba is probably going to win a lot more tackles than Casemiro.
Casemiro wins a lot of tackles. Well, Casemiro makes a lot of tackles.
He makes a lot of tackles. I don't know why they still haven't grabbed him and told him to stop slide tackling when the guy's 10 yards away. But anyhow, it solves a lot of problems, but also it fits in with what he's doing with the rest of the squad, which is, I want options in every position. There's options in every position now. There's a brand new attacking line, but there's Højlund and Xerxes on top of that. There's Ahmad that can play there. There's Fernandes that can play there. In midfield, there's 4 options. I would rather have 5. In defense, again, there's plenty of centre-backs in there, and there's 2 wing-backs that can play at each position. It's options. It's a full squad. You would want that. Baleba, if he's signed, probably gets in straight away, I think. But he solves a lot of problems in terms of duels. He solves a lot of problems in terms of, I would rather see him, if United pile forward and they lose the ball, I'd rather have him in the team to win the ball back quickly. And he probably is the best tackler as soon as he comes into the team as well.
I think also because what Baleba gives you is, as Danish said, it's that he gives you security when you're trying to build the play. He's really good at using his body to sort of turn out of trouble, and he's got the confidence to do it. People bounce off him. But what United also need, particularly if you're playing, because if you think most teams play with 3 men in midfield, then try and create a box or try and create overloads. And if United have only got 2, then they're a man down. And if one of those is Bruno, then we've been saying this feels like for years, that the guy who plays with Bruno needs to be physically monstrous, but also needs quality on the ball. Manu gives you quality on the ball, but he's not that good an athlete. Whereas Baleba, not as good on the ball as Manu, but he's good. And he also gives you that physical power. And I think really what we're seeing in a way is the beginning of the phasing out of Bruno as well, probably, in that the best midfield, you play the best midfield 2. Let's again assume we sign Baleba. The best midfield 2 in terms of quality its way is Bruno and Baleba. Except if it's Bruno and Manu, then your options for moving the ball forward are suddenly quite different. And really, you then have Bruno almost competing for a spot with Cunha and Mbeumo as well. And I think in the bigger games, I'm not sure it will happen, but it might make more sense in the bigger games to have whoever the midfield player we side is next to Manu, and then 2 of the other 3, because you've still got so many goals in that team now. If you've got Sesko and you've got 2 of Cunha, Bruno and Mbeumo, you should have enough goals to win the big games. And it's about making sure you don't lose them and working out your best way of building the play. And I think I can see why the mix between Cunha and Mbeumo, I can see why the manager's gone for that, because you've got Mbeumo who wants to move wide, who's more of a winger, Cunha who's more of a central, who's more of a central pockets player. And so Cunha is more likely to come towards the plate, and Mbeumo is more likely to run away from the plate, but they can both do either. And then that sort of gives you a nice, interesting mesh of ability, a left foot and a right foot, or a big guy and a little guy, and just different ways of playing. And I think what I worry about with this team, and maybe Danish, you have some ideas about how this might look, is how do we defend the transitions and how do we move the ball forward when we're in defence? So, and what does the rest of defence look like?
Yeah, and the rest of defence has been a problem with this, whatever midfield pairing there was last season, right? I mean, and rest defence being the shape that you have when you're in possession. And that's why United got caught on transitions, especially under Ten Hag, a little bit less under Amorim. And perhaps that was partly because there was an extra defender in there to solve some of that problems, right? But what you don't want, if that shape is not correct, is De Ligt and Maguire box defending all the time, which is what we got a lot there. They're both very good at it, but it means United are under pressure constantly. So does Baleba immediately solve that shape? And is it counteracted, Danish, by the point you made earlier, which is the wing-backs look very high? It doesn't matter what side it's on. They just do look very high, which I like because the team looked very, very defensive last season, right? We created 0.7 XG in that Europa League final, despite having 70% possession.
Hang on, that Hoyland header surely has got to be more. I mean, that must have been almost all the 0.7.
Yeah, it's 0.76 or 0.78 or something like that. It just wasn't. Anyway, fuck all XG, despite having all the possession. And that was, not only, you got it, like to score goals, you've got to have people who are efficient goal scorers. And in Sesko and Bruno and Cunha, United do have very efficient goal scorers, like too efficient if you're looking just at the data. But you've also got to create the right kind of chances, right? And not chances that are small, not 20 small XG chances, but 10 very good chances. And that's the question, right? So when you've got those wing backs or fullbacks much, much higher, you've got more opportunities for the kind of Amorim overloads and cutbacks to the second 6-yard box, as Gary Lineker would call it, that are the classic Amorim goal. And it just looks much more like Sporting, basically, in terms of its shape. But does that leave loads of space behind, as you said, Daniel and Danish? And is that the right trade-off? Like, are we just playing a bit more risky football? Danish?
I think you leave yourself vulnerable and open to that. But like you said, they're doing that because last season there was no progression. There was no attack. There was no chances. There hasn't been that since Ten Hag was there, I don't think. I think in the later years, like Ten Hag's final year, it was literally relying on them all to score 40-yard screamers or spontaneously doing something. And then randomly, he got the Man City game absolutely spot on and they kept him. And then it got worse from there. But it is a trade-off. Like you said, they are banking on, we're going to be more risky, we're going to be more on the front foot, we're going to be more aggressive because we'll probably beat teams 12 out of the 20 teams doing that. Or we'll score more than what we did last season, so we give ourselves a good chance at least. But that's also the thing of, we still don't know how this is going to be in the league. Like preseason is me just watching certain things and watching how certain things are playing out, how a manager wants them to run. We don't know how we don't know how it's going to work in the league. Against Arsenal on Sunday, I don't think they're going to press that aggressively because it's suicide to do that against one of the best teams in the country. I think we might just see a mid-block counter, which is what we saw last season. That's another thing, by the way.
A lot.
But most teams are kind of mid-blocking these days, no?
There's a lot more. Yeah. It looks like a higher quality Bundesliga, basically. And which, and with number 9s, which have all come back into fashion as well. We were decrying the death of the number 9 last season, and hey, it's football and it changes all the time. So yeah, it's interesting on Arsenal point because they look like last season's Arsenal in terms of, if you've watched any of their preseason games, I don't think they've changed much, right? They're not creating high quality chances still. They're going to have a lot of the ball. And the reason why they didn't win the league last season is they just simply didn't create enough high quality chances and finish them off. And they think by having better players, they'll become a better team. And fine, right? Don't change the model. Same with United, not changing the model, just have better players in there. And maybe Gyökeres is the player that gets them an extra 10 goals that helps them win the league. I somehow doubt it, but maybe, yeah. I mean, I guess if United are in some of those big games going to play the mid-block counter, that's fine. Still got players to do that. Don't have the big spaces players anymore, right? So maybe Mbeumo can do that a little bit, but Garnacho, Rashford, it's theoretical because they didn't always deliver it. Great in open space. Can United play that? Yeah, Daniel.
Because I think that's one of the reasons we signed Šeško, in that if you think about one of the things that Amorim likes to do with the wide players, and something I kind of fear having to watch, I don't really want to watch Ahmad spamming balls around the corner with his left foot because sort of on the half turn. And I think there might be a bit of that because there's that pass inside that you can play where you've got inverted wing backs, but when it works, it's really good. But I think one of the reasons it hasn't looked as good in pre-season is because we haven't seen much of Šeško yet. But if you're playing against United and United got Šeško and you're one of the better teams and you're defend on the halfway line, the balls that we've seen spammed in behind to no one, when Šeško's there, all of a sudden they're not.
Because he's quick.
Yeah, he's quick and he's physical and he wants to run those channels. They're not going to necessarily be balls spammed in behind anymore. And when you're playing against United now, and all of a sudden you've got Mbeumo, I think it was the second fastest player in the Premier League last season. You've got Šeško and you've got Ahmad. And then if you want to defend on the halfway line, good luck with that. Because I think against United now, that's going to be a problem. And those teams that are playing United, it's not just about whether United are in the mid-block because they're concerned about what the other teams are going to do. But even the good teams, if they because obviously you can't really have a high line unless you've got pressure on the ball. They're going to have to back themselves to be able to defend high against United and keep pressure on the ball, knowing that United have a few players who can pick a pass.
Yeah. All right. Can we build on that one? Just to go into a little bit more in terms of like, how do United get out of that pressure on the ball? Because it was so bad last season, right? And they tried to solve that by pushing Harry Maguire into midfield at times, right? And trying to create those triangles to build out. But we had some ridiculous ones where Onana would play the ball into Harry Maguire for the sort of bounce pass into the wing-back area and we give it away. Or it just comes straight back to Onana who punts it long, right? We just were not able to make the build-up. So what is the right balance of players, 3 in there, in order to do that? And has that shape changed enough in central midfield? Or even with Šeško in there, if we do want to play it long, and I suspect that will still happen a bit, like, is that good enough that we're not going to immediately lose the ball and be under pressure again, which happened way, way, way too often last season? Danish, thoughts on like our ability to build out of the back?
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier in the podcast, that has become miles better. From what I saw in preseason, that's miles better. It's the same thing. It's just they're using different mechanisms now to get the ball from defense to attack, and it's more successful.
Mm-hmm.
I saw a lot of Lenny Yoro having the ball on I think left centre back. I think maybe 4 or 5 players in one zone pressing him, and without fail, he would whack it down the touchline often. Either Højlund or Mbeumo would control it and drop it off to whoever the winger was or the midfield player. So I like that a lot more. And then the progression again has improved because, again, they're doing the same things. So there was one move where I saw Fernandes. It's helping the midfielders are dropping deeper, like as in deeper to the point where they're in the defensive line. So one of them drops into the defensive line. One of them is in midfield. One of the left or the right 10s also drops into midfield. The Fernandes plays a pass to the right wing back. 2 players get sucked in. And as that happens, there's another player, maybe the left 10 or the right 10, that drops as the spare man inside. We'll put images up, and for whoever's watching, it'll make a lot more sense. But there's a lot more movement in that sense. Players are rotating a lot more. When one player drops deep, the player who isn't deep goes and pushes forward. There's a lot more options in that sense. The progression is miles better, whether it be directly or through the middle of the pitch, or whether they want to drop it off to the right wing back and then make runs off them. I'm very happy with that, I have to say.
Okay, very good. Can we talk about set pieces a little bit? This should be 3 goals and United don't score from set pieces. And we also conceded far too many as well. We've lost Andreas Georgsson, who came along with a bunch of coaches for Ten Hag at the beginning of last season. He's gone to Tottenham with Thomas Frank.
who were good at set pieces last season.
Scored twice against Paris Saint-Germain from set pieces. Yeah. Yeah. They classic Frank. A little diversion on this. Like, that could not have been a more Frank at Spurs result, could it? 2 goals from set pieces, concede twice late because they've gone super, super unbelievably deep very early, which is just Frank's Brentford.
It'll never work.
It'll never work.
Exactly what we saw in Bilbao, Postecoglou.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, very much. They're just up against a better team. I mean, this is exactly what, and then add on the Spursiness of it, which is one of those expressions that you don't often get in English, which means something much, much deeper as a concept. There's a lot of German words like this, where you get a word that means something that's like, it's a concept of just chucking it away, choking at the right moment, just being a bit crap and pathetic, and they managed to do it perfectly.
I had that dream again. My small business needs to hire, but I don't use LinkedIn, and I hire wrong. So our orders get all backed up. We're drowning in paperwork, then actually drowning, careless fighting off sharks with a stapler, and pirates are pillaging the office copier, and then I wake up.
Don't let hiring nightmares ruin your dreams. LinkedIn Jobs' new AI assistant goes beyond the resume, using unique insights to deliver a smarter shortlist. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/quality. Start hiring today with LinkedIn.
Kraft Mac and Cheese is better than 90s hip-hop. We'll remind you of your childhood without making you feel incredibly old. Kraft Mac and Cheese. Best thing ever.
Well, the holidays have come and gone once again, but if you've forgotten to get that special someone in your life a gift, well, Mint Mobile is extending their holiday offer of half off unlimited wireless. So here's the idea. You get it now, you call it an early present for next year. What do you have to lose? Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Limited time 50% off regular price for new customers. Upfront payment required. $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12-month plan. Taxes and fees extra. Speeds may slow after 50 gigabytes per month when network is busy. See terms.
Anyway, set pieces. We now have a big bastard to aim for, which, if you just want to chuck it in the mixer, that you can do that. Are we going to be better?
Who's good in the air?
Very good in the air. Just so good in the air.
Which will massively help the defensive set piece. Well.
Absolutely. Right. Let's talk about the attacking set pieces first. Have we seen anything interesting in preseason? I'm not sure I've seen anything. I mean, are we going to get the front post overload, right? The Arsenal style front post overload, and have Sesko in there to profit from it? Are we seeing anything interesting? I think it's Carlos Fernandes, isn't it? Who's the set piece guy, the big chap. He's about 12 years old and he's built.
I think I could take him if I had to, just for the avoidance of doubt. But apart from the set pieces, what I'm also looking forward to is I'm looking forward to Bruno coming inside,
floating one in.
Back post Sesko.
Yeah.
I actually, when in the last Bergie season, I don't know why I think of this, but I was watching United Southampton. I was working for a TV channel at the time, Sports Tonight Live. I was like, we did the show after the game, so I couldn't go. And it was one of those situations where Bournemouth get the ball, Southampton get the ball, and I was watching it with Gordon Watson, flashes. That Danish probably a bit young to remember him, but for Wednesday. Did one of the greatest dives of all time. Look it up on YouTube. When Leeds beat Wednesday 6-1. Wednesday's one comes from a penalty, one of the greatest all-time dives from Gordon Watson. So I was introduced to him and I was like, oh, that dive. And he was just like, I played football for fucking...
That's all I've remembered for, yeah.
All anyone wants to ever say to me is that dive. But I remember they get the ball on the right and on the left, and immediately Flash goes, Ricky Lambert, Raphael, mismatch at the back post. And sure enough, the ball comes over and Ricky Lambert climbs all over Raphael and scores at the back post. It was just watching the game with the professionals, just interesting to be like, as soon as it happened, he was like, that's what they're going to do. And United have got that player because Sesko is going to have it over almost every defender and every fullback that he's going to come anywhere near. And he wants to score headers. And if Bruno comes inside and he hangs that ball up to the back post, United will get 3 goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but that should happen from set plays as well, right? And it's just interesting that I haven't seen anything in the preseason that really suggests they're working hard on it, because you want 3 goals, 5 free goals a year, and that comes from the right kind of routines. I mean, the other thing to think about is the defensive side of the set plays. And we're playing Arsenal on Sunday. Arsenal overload the front post, block the keeper, make tactical fouls all over the place, which apparently is going to be given as will not be allowed so often anymore. So say the PGOML, but we'll see that because they didn't stop Arsenal doing it at all last season, right? So they will overload the front post, block the keeper, and foul the blockers, right? They foul the defensive players who are in the sort of the second 6-yard zone, right? And we saw it over and over again, all right? Or, we've got a couple of flappy keepers who one floats over the head and, we're fucked either way, right? So have we seen anything on the defensive side that suggests that they're doing that better either? Because I'm not sure I have. I'm not sure we conceded goals from set plays this summer, though.
I haven't seen anything different at all in terms of set pieces. What I will say is, with Arsenal ahead on Sunday, I want to see Man United Arsenal that we saw in the Cup last season, not Man United Arsenal defending set pieces when it was Amorim's third game. I think we controlled that game mainly, and then we conceded to 2 set pieces as it was. And I keep forgetting we have 2 subpar goalkeepers, and the main one is injured. But every time Buendia has had a shot, he's messed it up.
It's unbelievable that when you sign number 2,
and they're both crap.
All he has to do is just really competence. That's all you need. But he is just actually total number 2.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable how bad Buendia is. And we will sign a goalkeeper. Now, I mean, we don't have one yet. We won't have one for Sunday. But by the time the window closes, we will have a goalkeeper. I'm absolutely sure of that. Because you can't go and spend all this money on the rest of the team. It's like, you can't build a new house and then go out and leave the back door open. But that's what this is. And there will be a goal. There will be a goalkeeper. And there will be a goalkeeper.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see who that is and what kind of profile, because the club have been briefing. I mean, the Athletic reported on this a couple of times. Club have been briefing that they're not going to move Andre Onana on. So that suggests that it's more likely to be a number 2 that comes in. And then number 2 that comes in, the 2 types of profiles, either a competent older goalkeeper, like Tom Heaton, but not 40 years old, or a young one who you think could take over from Andre Onana and push Onana out next summer when the cost, the PSI, the book value is low enough that teams may be interested, right? It works out the same financially, but, you're not taking an impairment hit. But also, what is the profile of goalkeeper we need? Because the one that has been linked with most often is Lemons, who's not really a good ball-playing goalkeeper. So are we looking for another Andre Onana who's a great ball-playing goalkeeper? Or do we wait for City to sign Donnarumma, who's, makes as many mistakes, honestly, as Andre Onana, and then make a cheeky bid for Ederson instead, right? So, what happens in the goalkeeper department? What's the profile of goalkeeper that is important if it's a number 2? And are we going to see anything different from Andre Onana tactically this season, which was none of the ball playing that we believed we were getting and mostly long ball shit?
I hope so, because since he's been signed, I keep getting told he's a very good ball playing goalkeeper. We haven't seen that part either.
Oh, but we knew it before. And
in terms of his ball playing, right? We've seen mainly just direct balls and all this fancy stuff that he was very good at with Inter, which was dropping the shoulder or dragging the man in and then passing it wide. But even his direct balls, they sort of go close to the man, but they're delivered at such an awkward height. They never bring it down, or it's so wide they never head it in, or they never chest it down. So, and also on top of that, he's just been so bad for 2 seasons. He's conceded umpteenth mistakes in Europe. He's conceded umpteenth mistakes in the league. I'm just really, really surprised they haven't gone for anybody else. I know that they needed attackers and they've gone for attackers, but I don't know what more evidence you need to suggest that the number 1.
I'm starting, just even talking about this, dickhead, I'm starting to feel my teeth are starting to itch. I think we will get another goalkeeper. Because I think also the way that the system's meant to work, but also the way probably Ten Hag wanted it to work as well, is if you imagine a pitch and United are in possession, then if they're in possession in their own half, which is when you'd expect the keeper to have the ball, the opposing keeper, he's fucking miles away, right? In his own goal. Therefore, somewhere on the pitch, you should have an overload. Because if the other team's pushed up to halfway and everyone's in your half of the pitch or close to it, then the only player who's out of the game is the opposing keeper. So it's 11v10. And at that point, your keeper's meant to be pretty much a defender because that's
the point of Andre Onana. Yeah.
Yeah. But even more generally, that's how you find your spare man. That's how you make the most of the fact that you've got a spare man. If your keeper's miles off it as well, then it's 10v10. But the idea of having this keeper was that so you'd be able to move the ball and you'd always have it. It's like having an extra man. And whoever it is, I think that's what they'll try to make happen. But then it's funny because Amorim's system, I think he's not too bothered. He wants a goalkeeper that will keep goal more than he wants a goalkeeper that can play.
Because he already has the extra man in defence for the build-up, I suspect. So.
But sometimes that's a problem with build-up because you end up with, if you've got 5 men in the line, or even if they're staggered, you're sort of missing a man on the second line.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if I think to me that's a problem with the build-up, the extra man. I want to build up with one man fewer so that I could have another man on the second line and then another man threatening the third line. So, he's going to need to find a way of making whoever the keeper is be the extra man. And if it's someone and if we do end up going, I mean, who knows who it's going to be? If it's going to be Donnarumma, let's say, then
I don't think it is, but yeah.
Yeah, then he's not that great on the ball. He's not really like having an extra play. He's someone you get because you want that kind of know-how and personality and confidence, really. And that is something that your team can use, but it's not. But tactically, it's not helpful. It's helpful in different ways, I think.
Yeah, on Donnarumma, I mean, I think it's the finances that will stop that happening. I'm not particularly upset. He makes quite a lot of mistakes as well. Like, honestly, I mean, high profile, big moments and the confidence and the gravitas and all of that, and saves a lot of penalties. Should we get to a penalty shootout, he may do better than Dave.
Grimsby.
Yeah, against Grimsby in the League Cup. Yeah. Oh, God. It could happen after 90 minutes, isn't it, as well in the League Cup? No, the finances will stop because he's just on a massive wage and he earns basically equivalent of about £400,000 a week. So, and it seems City are interested for whatever reason because they've said the move to Saudi, I guess.
Hang on. No, but City have sold James Trafford.
Yeah.
Because they weren't using him.
And then brought back.
They bring James Trafford back and then they sign Donnarumma to go ahead of him.
It doesn't make any sense, does it?
Makes no sense whatsoever. And I think I agree with you on Donnarumma. He was someone who I always thought was a bit dodgy, but he was brilliant in the Champions League last season.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of thing that makes you go, okay. But if it wasn't, if Paris had lost to Liverpool, and we were trying to sign him, and they always did, I'd be thinking, what are you talking about? But they didn't, and he was excellent. But yeah, as you say, like, he'd have to really want to come because he'd have to take a wedge up.
All right, I guess that's it for tactical preview. Basically the same is what we're saying, but better shape in midfield, probably better players, more Amorim style players in the front three. Big fucking bastard if the tactics don't work. I haven't seen much else in set plays yet on the defensive side or the attacking side. We'll see. With the Carlos Fernandes, the man who Daniel will take if he needs to. And we've seen really, really high wing backs, which I like the look of, but obviously that comes with a risk profile trade-off, doesn't it? Is that a good summary of what we're going to see? And where does that leave us in the league? I mean, we'll be doing a general preview of the season as well. But tactically, is that enough? Is Amorim's game model going to change under pressure this season? Nope, he's unchangeable.
Circumstances might force it. It depends what happens, I would say, in that he doesn't want to lose his job. He's not going to suddenly start playing 4-4-2. That's not going to happen. But the league might demand that he change certain things. And we've seen him change certain things from game to game, like the asymmetric wing backs, where one of them might be deep, one of them might be high. I think he's changing the way we've seen him block in a 4-4-2 sometimes. I think that's where he wants to get to. I mean, he said last season when we won at Arsenal in the Cup, but this isn't sustainable. So he is going to, and I think we're getting better at keeping the ball. And what we need to flip between now and what I hope we'll see over the course of the season as it settles, I think in the first bit of the season, we're probably going to be relying on individual ability or one-off combinations, some of the goals. But as the players become more familiar with each other, we'll start to see them flicking between the different tactics that he wants to use in the game. But we're going to have to be patient.
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, he's had an awful lot of time this summer, more than is usual, and he's going to have not too many midweeks. I mean, obviously the League Cup in the first part of the season, and then we'll see after that. But yeah, he's going to have an awful lot of training time in order to build in those automatisms, in order to be really, really detailed. There was some excellent reporting from The Athletic on exactly how they're building some of the shape to play this season. And anyway, we'll be back with this each week after United won, Arsenal 0 on Monday, and then each week after that. Danish, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Daniel, thank you.
All right.
Everyone, catch you soon. Bye now.